Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this podcast. For those who do not know me, my name is Arqam Cheema, your very own sales guy and the co-founder of Captains Limited. And today we have Daniela with us, who has the experience of over 10 years in the marketing. And if we specifically talk about Amazon, it's been over 5 years. Hello, Daniela. Thank you so much for joining this podcast.
Thanks for having me, Arkham.
So today's podcast is going to be all about your strategy on how we can 3x or triple our revenue by using your optimization strategy. So let's just get started.
Yeah, let's get into it. So
Mhm,
this comes from a place of having optimized hundreds of brands. Right now,
mhm.
at our current pace, we work with about 100 brands every year.
Okay,
We work with brand builders specifically. So not a
okay.
whole lot of Me Too products, not a whole lot of
Mhm,
private label in the sense that the brands that we bring on are they inspire us or they get us very
mhm.
excited. So
Okay,
from that lens, we've created what's called the buy now method, right? And it's really
okay.
just a distilled version of all the tiny little things we talk about when we talk about listing optimization. That
Mhm,
word can feel overwhelming for people. It can feel complicated for brand builders as they're getting started or as they're trying to understand or wrap their mind around what it takes
mhm.
to run an e-commerce brand on Amazon, which is very different from D2C, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we've tried to just make it very simple and help people understand that it at its core, the listing
Mhm.
optimization piece is different from traffic. It's the
Okay.
conversion piece on your pages, and it really happens in a funnel. And those three
Yeah,
steps
yeah.
that we've really broken it down into is getting found through SEO,
Okay,
getting clicks through your main image, and
okay.
getting the sale once they come into your listing from that main image, right? So
All
if
right.
I were to break down each one of those pieces, really the first piece you have to do first, because if people are searching for your product with whatever keyword and your products are not showing up, then you're not
Mhm.
getting found. The other two steps don't even matter at that point, right? So
Yeah,
really it's about
exactly.
understanding fundamentally, are you getting found? What do your sessions look like? Does that need to be improved? Start there, right?
Mhm,
But let's say you dialed out your listing, you know that you've done your keyword research, that part is done. The second step
mhm,
is probably the step that I find the most fun. It's the step where we see the most impact immediately for brands. And I think it's the most under leveraged um,
mhm.
piece of the funnel, which is your main image.
Yeah,
And
yeah, exactly.
I talk about this a lot because I still don't see a lot of brands doing it. And I think a lot of brands, they get professional photos done and they're really proud of the product on white that they've created. But at the
Mhm,
end of the day, if you compare that to what's showing up in the search results and you're not standing out, then you need to
mhm.
take it to the next level. I
Yeah.
guarantee you that if you have a great main image that's professionally shot or rendered, I guarantee
Mhm,
there's 10 other ideas that you haven't considered of how you could
mhm.
stand out against your competitors. Right. And
Yeah,
so really
exactly,
that's the
exactly.
fun part. That's the creative part. That's the ideation that you can do with your team to figure out what else can we do here? Like, can we
Mhm.
add some hard shadow, some light shadow, some post edits, some angles? Like, what else can we do
Some
to
lights.
really make this shine? Yeah, like what else?
Yeah.
And sometimes
Mhm.
it's just like making your packaging more vibrant in Photoshop. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
making sure that the word that people are searching for, like vegan or something, is really
Mhm.
popping off the screen so that you know they can see it from the search results. Like these little tiny things that you can do to adjust your main image really make an
Mhm.
impact on click-through rate. So that's
Yeah.
the second piece. Once you have done that, you can ensure that you're getting found, you're getting them into your listing, you're getting those clicks from that main image. Now
Mhm.
they're inside your listing. Now, how do we convert them? And that's where the compelling copywriting comes in. That's where making sure that those search terms that we talked about have been infused into your lifestyle infographic, show and tell
Mhm.
imagery on your product images, on your A plus content,
Yeah.
that you're using every single creative asset inside your listing to be selling, educating, answering a question in a strategic hierarchy that you know your customers are looking for in order to answer
Mhm.
their question before they can click buy now. So that at its
Okay.
core is really how we break it down into three steps and how we
Mhm.
ensure that we are able to measure each step, right? And
Mhm.
what's really exciting about this from my perspective is that in the last year, Amazon Experiments has come to the market, and I feel like not enough people know about it or are using it or have confidence
Mm-hmm.
in it. And it's either one of those three things, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like it's our number one secret weapon at this point, because we're able to have brands hold us accountable for
Mm.
something that we've just been selling for years, and
Yeah.
yes, you can pull the manual data, but I think it's so much more powerful when Amazon can tell you themselves, out of these two main images, this one is going to get you $50,000 in sales over the next year, so keep this one, you know
I guess sometimes there's a problem with the clients as well, because they have spent so much money on it, and when you tell them it's not good, it literally hurts their feeling that they have spent this much money, they have spent this much money on the packaging, and packaging is like the worst part when the packaging is not good and you have to change it just to make
Oh,
the
totally.
main image look good. Because currently we recently onboarded our client, and he's making somewhere around 230K per month. But when we look into his like CTR and conversion rates, it was like the CTR was like average 0.35, which is like super bad. And we knew just by increasing the CTR, we can push this brand to like 400K just by increasing the CTR
Totally.
and conversion rate. We just do not have to spend anything on the PPC extra. And the second thing
Right.
is the second problem I think that people do not consider when it comes to Amazon, they do not spend as much time on the marketing or detail page side as they spend on the website. When it comes to website or social media, they come up with new exciting ideas on using which they can convert the audience and those sort of things. But when it comes to Amazon detail page, they do not do such sort of things. So I
A
recently like
thousand
shared
percent agree.
yeah, so I recently shared a case study in which like there was a supplement product and it wasn't like converting well, even though we were spending good amount of money on PPC and utilizing every strategy. And as being a copywriter for like over 5 years, I always come up with some ideas which sometimes shakes the feet of my clients, but I know they would work. So came up with a new idea which is like a copywriting framework, and I told my client we should go with this. It was like a little bit off cliche and off market and not in the mainstream, and we utilized it. So after utilizing, just after like 1 week, our conversion rate was like up by over 10%.
I
And
love it.
we didn't spend anything. It was like something which I was afraid like maybe our competitors start on copying it and those sort of things. But we have to come up with new things on Amazon detail page as well. Come up with new images ideas. Come up
Totally.
just get out of those images like infographics. You need infographics, but make them more creative.
Right. I mean, the
So yeah.
competitive set is getting
Mhm.
more and more fierce. I had
Yeah.
a call yesterday with
Mhm.
Jesse Tilner, who was the
Mhm.
ad manager for Four Sigmatic, which is like a huge
Okay.
mega
Mhm.
brand, right? And they started out
Yeah.
D2C, and then they became a mega brand on Amazon. And one of the things
Mhm.
that he said was that
Mhm.
he liked what we're doing because we're bringing the D2C experience to Amazon, because Amazon has
Okay.
been looked at as like the place for ugly ecom for so long,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
now because of all the competition coming to Amazon, these brands are rethinking their
Yeah.
strategy, and they're realizing they have to stand out. They have to have
Yeah.
compelling copy like what you're talking about. They have to level up
Mhm.
their images. We have brands that have been bestsellers for years, and they're realizing
Mhm.
like we got to keep refreshing and leveling our game and testing and doing these things. And those are the brands the ones that are thinking like that are thinking
Mhm.
to stay relevant, we have to be thinking
Mhm.
about this the same way that everybody's thinking about their content in general, like
Yeah.
omni-channel, staying fresh, having hooks, having, like look at the TikTokification of everything right now. And
Yeah.
that's really like the way that we need to be thinking about content on Amazon. It's going to be headed in that direction even more than it is now.
Yeah. Actually, these parts are like the boring side of the Amazon business. The main thing I consider why people are not doing it, because they do not want to do it themselves. They are not unable to do it
Agreed.
themselves. Yeah, because even if you tell me like the holiday season is coming up, majority of the big brands, what they will do is they will remap their whole Amazon listings, storefronts, and everything, and add all the holiday relevant graphics. But still, at the same time, 90% of the brands don't do it because they are like super lazy, because they do not want to like get into the hassle of coming up with new designs, new copy, and those sort of stuff. and which is why only the 10% makes money.
I would also like, so there's an argument both ways, right? I think some brands are
Mm-hmm.
hesitant to change anything that's working, especially right before the holidays. So they're a little skeptical
Mm-hmm.
of like,
Yeah.
if something goes wrong, that's the last thing that you need is to be like, I was trying to update this image and now my whole listing is shut down right before holidays. So I get
Yeah.
that perspective. We also
Mm-hmm.
service 80% of our revenue at Mindful Goods comes from agency partners. So it's interesting
Mm-hmm.
though that a lot of agencies send their clients our way, and a lot of
Okay.
these bigger clients, they have full in-house design teams, full in-house creative teams that manage
Yeah.
their e-com, that manage their
Mm-hmm.
D2C. But
Mm-hmm.
Amazon is still looked at as the ugly stepchild. Like they do
Yeah.
not spend a lot of time and energy, even when they're paying for an Amazon agency to help them, they don't
Mm-hmm.
dedicate their own in-house team to be developing these assets, to keeping
Yeah.
their narrative consistent across all channels, to keeping their
Mm-hmm.
content relevant and fresh on Amazon. It's just kind
Mm-hmm.
of this, back burner channel that's like great
Yeah.
extra revenue, but they're not really thinking of Amazon first, right? And so I think that that's ultimately going to change, and that's what we see. A lot of agencies are
Mm-hmm.
coming to us and wanting help backing, and
Mm-hmm.
and part of it is that like on your D2C channel, you can track so much, you can see everything. You can go to your
Mm-hmm.
manager and say, look, if we invest X amount of dollars, we're going to get X amount of return. Like you can validate things. But on
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of brand builders and teams that manage this in house, they don't know what those metrics are. They don't know what those
Yeah.
levers are, and they're not able to advocate for themselves in that way, right? Whereas
That's the
at
main
least
problem.
right, and at least with Amazon Experiments, Amazon is going in that direction, at least providing a tool to
Mm-hmm.
help. I do think it
Mm-hmm.
could be better. I do think that we should be getting data a lot faster. I don't think we should have to wait 10 weeks for Amazon to run a
Mm-hmm.
test. I would pay money to drive traffic to validate the
Mm-hmm.
test faster. If there was a way to just drive traffic to
Yeah.
that test and to validate it in 24 hours, I think Amazon could charge people for that and make way more money off of us, because we can
Yeah.
validate
Mm-hmm.
the results a lot quicker. We could be pushing out so much more content to Amazon if Amazon Experiments gave us data a lot faster.
That's the main problem. Like nobody knows. The design guy doesn't know if he's making the impact. The copy guy doesn't know if he's making an impact. If you want to know, you have to like go with A/B testing and test each and every aspect every time. And majority of the brand owners, they do not want to get into that hassle. So in the
They
end, it
don't.
just
And if they
it
have beautiful new content, they want everything uploaded at once. They're like,
yeah.
no, they like when I try to explain to them, like, it looks pretty.
Uh-huh.
It's beautiful. Like, I'm glad you
Yeah.
like the work that we created, but we also want to know the data behind it, right? And if we upload
Yeah.
everything at once, we really don't know what's working and what's not working. So,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, if a brand is going through a rebrand and they need their content to look consistent across all their channels, they don't care. They just want it changed,
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and so we kind of have to like, you know, toe the line on that one and work with brands where they're at. So
Mm-hmm. So how do you let's say when it comes to like brand building clients, they normally they have like a huge number of SKUs. How do you manage like all those optimizations and all that hectic work? Because it's hectic because you have to repeat the same thing again and again, and sometimes it gets boring, and sometimes our team gets boring as well. Like they are bored, they have to just repeat the same stuff. How do you maintain that consistency? Like it stays the same throughout the brand.
I mean, really, usually I don't know if it's that boring. It's kind of just like a hurry up and wait scenario because you have to wait
Hmm.
for one test to finish. So I
Yeah.
wish we could run all three tests at the same time across like three different variations, but some of the brands that we work with, they don't have that ability because they don't have enough traffic yet, right? So we just
Hmm.
have to understand where each brand is at and what are the limitations of what we can do, right? So
Hmm.
like we're not going to run the Amazon experiments for them, for an entire year for free either. Like we are
Hmm.
content creators at our core, and we're offering right now the Amazon experiments management for, a limited time just to help brands out and help them understand the data.
Hmm.
Ultimately, maybe in the future we will offer like a product where we're helping brands throughout the year run their experiments like with larger sellers, right? Where it makes sense to have someone always
Hmm.
running your experiments. I do think that
Hmm.
they should always be running. But the good thing is it's a hurry up and wait scenario. So it's like there's only three types of tests you can run. They
Mm-hmm.
each take 4 to 10 weeks. So you just kind of have to make a schedule of all the tests you can possibly run off
Mm-hmm.
of your catalog, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
at Mindful Goods, we typically focus on one SKU when we're designing. And the reason for that is because we're really going in depth on look, tone, feel to kind of level up everything at once, right? And so
Okay.
we can't do that if we're focused on 10 SKUs at once. We can't do
Okay.
that if we're focused on 100 SKUs at once across the catalog. So we really just focus
Okay.
on one, we dial it out, and then we say to the brand builder, if you like it, let's test it. And if you like it and the results are great, we can easily roll this out across your 100 SKUs. Like that's fine. But
Uh-huh.
let's make sure it works. Let's test it. Let's do that. And then
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
obviously you love it because you approved it, but let's figure that testing out. And as soon as we start getting data that's in the right direction, then we're able to say, great, let's start rolling it out.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, we could run more experiments if we wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on, is it a different product, that sort of thing.
Okay, so let's say there, like I have 100 SKUs for a brand, okay,
Hmm.
and I want to rebrand all of them. I'm an old brand which was using old strategies, and now I want to stay up to date with everything. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's say the rebranding of one listing, rebranding includes the listing images, EBC, and copy. Okay, it takes somewhere around 10 days. Okay, now I have 100 SKUs. How will you manage the each and everything, like for the rebranding of all other 99 SKUs? How would you manage that time? Because I believe that the brand won't give you that much of time just to rebrand everything. Okay? Because if one listing is taking 10 days, it's gonna be a lot of time to just revamp the rest of the 99 SKUs.
I disagree. I think it's about setting the
Hmm.
expectations up front.
Okay.
It's a
Hmm.
lot of SKUs and you want to get it right.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of details that you can get wrong. And
Hmm.
so, like, if you want to do a half-ass job, you can go to Fiverr and get it done in 2 days. But
Yeah.
realistically, you should probably break it down into phases and say,
Hmm.
month one, we're going to work on these 10 to 20. Month two, we're going to
Okay.
work on these 10 to 20. And we'll just keep rolling it out month by month so that we're being
Hmm.
thoughtful and mindful about how we are doing this
Okay.
for you
Okay.
because we at the end
Hmm.
of the day we want you to be successful. We don't want to do like a half-ass
Hmm.
job for you, you know.
So it's not like a fast game. It's like a consistent game, consistent but slow.
I think it's about consistency. I think it's about
Hmm.
thinking about this like creative
Hmm.
is something that like if you rush it, it's going to look rushed. Really,
Yep.
truly.
Exactly.
Like you look at some brands and you're like, "Oh yeah, that looks like it was done on Fiverr." Like you're like, "Oh yeah." Like
Yeah.
you can
Majority
look
of
at
them.
it and you're
Majority of
like,
them are.
yeah, and you're like, yeah." And that's the thing though. Now because we've been so primed with the Apple experience, the CP or
Yeah.
the CPG experience, the D2C experience of leveling up packaging with everything, leveling up the
Hmm.
experience on websites with everything. Like
Hmm.
we as buyers have come to expect this
Hmm.
sort of D2C experience. We have come to expect, like, when we buy something, for instance, I would
Hmm.
rather buy something that costs 10 times more. Like, a good example, Allbirds
Hmm.
shoes, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
$150 shoes. Is there anything really, 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 truly like that magnificent about these shoes? Probably not. But I bought
Hmm.
into the fact that it's a beautiful product made with wool. It's like a recycled product, like all of that.
Hmm. And the branding was
Awesome.
good.
The branding was freaking awesome. And I am
Yeah.
paying a ridiculous amount of money for these shoes
Hmm.
in the context of shoes, right?
Hmm.
Rather than just going and buying 3 or 4 other pairs of shoes. I would
Hmm.
rather buy
Yeah.
one pair of those shoes that I love that speak to me because I love their beautiful branding and they have all these elements that I appreciate that
Yeah.
like they got me to identify with them, right? They got me to buy
Yeah.
into their story. They got me to like get
Hmm.
excited by what they were doing and I just think it's so beautiful and I want to spend more money and I want to buy
Yeah.
those and I will not buy the 5 other cheap products because I want this more expensive one, right? So I feel like
Yeah.
that's kind of what's happening, right? If like you can be a cheap product all day, you're just in
Hmm.
this like really super competitive, like you have to just really dial in those pennies,
Yeah.
or you can charge a little bit more, you can level up your content, you can stand out in other ways. you can get the buyers that are like me, that are willing to pay 2-3
Mm-hmm.
times the amount for almost the same product, really.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's just the way that I see things going right now. And it's, who is your buyer? You know, is your
Mm-hmm.
buyer the person that wants to buy the $5 thing, or is your buyer the one that's willing to pay the $150 thing? Right? If you
Mm-hmm.
can understand
Okay.
that mentality, then you're going to be able to sell into that. And then it's worth taking the time to do things right. If you're not targeting the me's of the world, then
Mm-hmm.
all day you should be using Fiverr, right? If you're just selling like the $5 garlic press,
Mm-hmm.
all day you can be using like Fiverr and turning content out super fast and
Yeah.
trying to do that. I wouldn't recommend spending the thousands of dollars that it takes to level up your brand content in that aspect.
Mm-hmm. I guess like good sellers or good buyers can easily distinguish between like what is cheap even on Amazon, because you cannot just show black and white movies to Gen Z nowadays. They would easily distinguish that it's not for them. And at the same time, branding is something. You discussed the point, you bought some shoes for $150, right? So their branding literally made your brain convince you that it's worth it. It's worth 150 or $200, right? So it literally
Totally.
like you decided. We have to do the same with our Amazon listings as well. Like the people think like if it's $3 more expensive as compared to the market, what what makes it more expensive? Is it the
Mm-hmm.
experience? Is it the overall quality? Is it the quantity they're offering? What is it? It makes the consumer think, and you can only do that with like with your product development phase or your detail page. That's it. Nothing else. You cannot like do that with your PPC or stuff. You cannot convince the consumer to purchase.
Yeah, it's definitely definitely once they hit the product page. I'll say there's some things that you've probably leveraged on your end with the copywriting that that
Mhm.
we do on the creative aspect too, is that I don't think enough brands are really like putting themselves out there and telling their story in a way that's impactful, right? Like
Mhm. Mhm.
there's this narrative that's out there that, you know, Bezos is ruining the world, Amazon's killing small businesses. There's
Mhm.
so many small businesses that are your next door neighbor that are like selling their product that they believe should be in the world, and they're selling it on Amazon. You know, so it's
Yeah.
not this like big bad wolf scenario in every case. Like there is
Mhm.
so many small businesses selling their products on Amazon. So
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of like getting out there and getting in front of it. And as the founder, telling your story, showing a photo of yourself and your family, showing like why you created this product, why you believe it should be in the world. All,
Mhm.
you know, are you giving back? What are the things that you stand for? That like, those are the things that when people are in your listing, we've had customers, shoppers from Amazon will email our clients inside of the
Mhm.
dashboard, and they would send messages saying like, I'm so happy I bought this product. I bought it because I saw that you donate back to animal welfare, and I'm, you know, and that your two sisters who created this
Mhm.
product, and it just reminded me of me and my sister. You know, and
And,
it's like if you can connect on that level, that you show that you're
mhm.
a real human being. It's not a product anymore, you know?
Mhm. By the way, that's a good marketing strategy. You might have seen some websites saying that if you buy this XYZ product, we will give one sock to the or one sock or $1 to the needy one. So it makes the
Mhm.
consumer feel like if they can spend like $20 and somebody can get a sock or somebody can get a one-time meal, people do
Mhm.
purchase. Unfortunately, we do not use those same strategies on Amazon because we think that there won't be that much of an impact on it.
And yes, and to tie on to that, I think it's a matter of like quantifying it on Amazon. Like
Hmm.
you have, if you're gonna say that you give back, you should be as specific as possible on how you're giving back, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what people want to know. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, you donate, like big deal. Nobody cares about that anymore. They care about what
Hmm.
is the real impact that you're making in the world. A
Hmm.
couple weeks ago, I posted a case study of a brand that we worked with, which is incredible, incredible product. And I'm going to see if I
Hmm.
can pull it up while we're on. But
Sure, sure.
basically, let's just say it's a commodity product, okay?
Okay, okay.
And they are selling this. We created this landing page effect for the A plus content, and it talked about like how good the product is, the benefits, all of that, right? And it was beautiful. They approved it, they
Mhm.
loved it, and we took another step when we looked at it, and we're like, wow. When we look at their story, like there's what they're doing is insane. Like this brand. The reason why it was created was to give more women in Africa jobs, first of all. The second thing that they're doing
Strong
beyond the
motive.
jobs, the second thing they're doing beyond the jobs is there is a population in Africa of children who are never going to be adopted, right? Because they have a disability. And so this man took it upon himself to create an orphanage where he is able to provide love and care and a place for these children to grow up, that, you know, for a population that like will always be underserved. Like they will never be adopted, and he knows that. So he is basically saying, I'm going to create this product. Women in the community are going to get jobs. We're going to sell it on Amazon, and a portion of the sales are going to go back to the orphanage so we can support those kids every year, right? So we got a little bit deeper, and we said, okay, not only are you supporting jobs for women, how many women? And not only are you supporting an orphanage, how many kids are you housing, feeding, sheltering every year? Like, it gives me chills just talking about it. Like, let's put that out there in your A+ content. So we redesigned it, and we basically said, like, this is how many children we're supporting. This is the jobs that we're creating. These are the people in these photos right here that you are helping when you buy this product. And the difference between the two is night and day. They're both beautiful, right? But one is telling the impact in a very, very, very quantifiable, specific conversation, right? And so when people see that, actually the email that we got from the brand owner was, he was like dancing. He was like, my team thinks I'm crazy because I just saw this and I'm dancing in my office. I can't even believe how good this is, right? And that's amazing. Like, I want your customers to be dancing when they see this. I want I want the world to know what you're doing, and what a great marketing channel at the end of the day for people to just see that this brand is creating this impact in the world, right? And because I know people are going to ask, I'm going to go find it. So I'm going to drop it in the chat so you can just show it real quick. Can you do that on here?
Yeah. If you want, I can just pop it up. You can share your screen if you want.
Yeah. Let me grab it. Oh, I can share my screen. Let me just grab it then. Let's see. But you can go ahead and keep chatting while I find this real quick.
Okay, so can I steal this idea of yours, because I think I can utilize it in one of my brands, and it might work really well.
Do it. I mean, honestly, it doesn't work for every brand, right? Because they can't. It's like the brands that are really truly making an impact. Like, let's do it. Let's say what the impact is. And if you give back, don't just give back. Like, know what you're giving back to. Know the exact tangible number of people that you're helping. It doesn't matter if you're helping 20 or 200 or 2,000. Like, being able to say that, you know, like, and you can twist it in a different way, right? Like, we specifically are sponsoring 20 students with scholarships every year. That's just as powerful as saying we support 2,000 people with, you know, a $10 meal, you know, every month. Like, whatever the impact is, it's like there is a way to frame it, especially with your copy, right? There's a way to frame it to have people understand the true impact. So, yeah.
So sometimes it's about the motive, it's about the goal behind the whole brand, and not just the product. Because what I've seen, people just want to like embed their product everywhere.
Agreed. Okay, let me just share my screen here. Where is the share screen setting? All right, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Jeb Foods. If you look on the left, it's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Like, big call outs, mobile friendly. We tell a little bit about the story. We still have, you know, photos of the kids. But on this side, we're saying, you know, 30 special needs orphans are housed, 200 kids are schooled, and 500 kids are fed, right? Like, it's like real food, real impact. Like, you're just hitting with all these like really tangible. 10% of all sales go to this foundation, right? To support these kids right here in this picture, you know? So
the best thing is there is no irrelevant data here. There's just like to the point, Visuals are
Mm-hmm.
focused, text is focused, and it's really worth it.
Right, right. And
Mm-hmm.
handmade in Africa, you know, and on this one, I think we're probably, oh, here it is. The foundation employs and trains women. Many of them, what does it say? Many of them are widows.
You can zoom in.
Yeah, many of them are widows, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
showing here that it's handmade, showing the hands, you know, that
Mm-hmm.
this to me, even just hands are so much more impactful than this shot here on the left, which is a lifestyle image on a counter, right? This makes you feel like, cool, it looks nice, and whatever, like
It
no
doesn't show
impact.
the effort behind it.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
emotion. It doesn't evoke any emotion. These are evoking
Mm-hmm.
emotion, you know,
Mm-hmm.
tying in this cultural aspect here with their like tribal print, you know, which
Mm-hmm.
is um
Packaging is good.
it's them, it's their heart and soul, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be so proud of this, of the work that they're doing, changing lives through food, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This is, if you're an impact brand, this is the kind of way that you need to be communicating your message. And again,
Mm-hmm.
both are beautiful. They're just not equal in terms of delivering emotion,
The
evoking
message.
emotion. Right, right.
Cool. Cool. This is a great example, by the way.
Thank you.
Heads up to your creative department.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? The first one, like, the client approved. They loved it. They were so happy. And
Mm-hmm.
as we were reviewing, because sometimes we go through like content reviews on the back
Mm-hmm.
end, and even though it's approved, we like sometimes we look at something and we're just like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
This one was so special, and we just did not. We didn't even tell the client we were doing this, right? We
Mm-hmm.
went on our own, and we worked with our team. We like huddled and said, okay, these are the things that we think we could have done better, and we went
Mm-hmm.
and did it. And then we finished it. And we were like, yeah, this is better. We went and showed it to the client, because sometimes they're already in love with the first one.
Yeah.
They don't want to do the second one. But this client, he saw it and was like, you're right. This is so
This
much
is
better.
more.
And I'm dancing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's ultimately at the end of the day. If we can make every client dance, then we're doing our job.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Cool. Okay. So let's just come back to the point of like the SEO optimization now. So as you know that there are like tons of gurus in the market who are recommending their own optimization strategies. What do you recommend? What works for you? What's working for you so far when it comes
um,
to SEO?
I would say a bulk of what everyone is talking about is a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
same, not a whole
Yeah.
lot different. One thing that I think that is probably not talked about enough is the title testing, and now how you can validate it with Amazon experiments.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing this actually for close to 2 or 3 years now. We've been giving clients dual title sets. There hasn't really been the easiest way to split test up until Amazon experiments, right? So
Mm-hmm.
although we've been giving dual titles and we show, look, with this one, you can possibly achieve this much organic reach. With this one, you can possibly achieve this much organic reach, just by way of how you're putting the keywords into your title, right? Just tweaking it
Mm-hmm.
a little bit. And then you show them that against the original title, which is usually, you know, not very much organic reach in
Yeah.
most cases, right? Some brands have this figured out, most don't.
Yeah.
Still, so we've been giving that dual title set, and it's really just been up to them to like test it for a matter of weeks, pull the data, and hopefully they're using just an isolated test, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of work for brands. They don't want to do that. So
Yeah. The boring part.
most of them, yeah, I mean, we're talking 2 or 3 years, so hundreds of brands that we've been doing this for, and very few have actually done the data analysis, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we still think it's a valuable tool. I think even more so now with Amazon experiments, now you can definitely test this a title change.
Mm-hmm.
And if Amazon is telling you
Mm-hmm.
that they give you 3 things to test on your product page, and the 3 things they chose to give you to test are
Mm-hmm.
title, main image, and A+ content, what do
Yeah.
you think the drivers are for conversion on your
These are
page?
the three.
Like,
Yeah, they are literally indirectly telling you that these are the 3 reasons you should go for.
yeah, if they weren't the things, they would have had you split testing other things. They would have had you split testing your
Mm-hmm.
bullets or split testing
Mm-hmm.
the something else, right? But they're
Mm-hmm.
literally telling you these are the 3 things that can make the biggest impact, and we want you to make the biggest impact. So start with these 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's the title. And we do that with like the title calculator, like I mentioned, which actually we give that as like a tool to our clients when they do a package with us. We'll give them this title calculator. We'll show them how to use it. So if they ever want to tweak their title and keep testing, all they have to do is drop their keyword in there, drop the reach, and then they'll know if they're achieving the level of organic reach that they want. Then they can go validate it inside of Amazon. And then what's interesting is that we have been exploring using a tool called Data Dive. I don't know if you guys have
Brandon Young.
Brandon Young's tool. It's great. But one of the things that drew me to it is his Battle of the Titles. And it's the same concept. And it's the first time I've seen anybody else talking about titles in this way of like building your title up. And it's not so much keyword stuffing as it is being very strategic about which keywords and why against your competitive set. Right. Yeah. And so like, this is something that can change based on your advertising strategy as well. So if you know that your advertising team is setting up, let's say 3 subpages on your storefront to target these keywords for this subpage, these keywords for this subpage, and these 3 words for these keywords for this subpage. Once you get that data back and you know what keywords are working, you can shift that into your title, you know, and have everything work even better.
Yeah, Data Dive is making our lives easier.
Totally.
Okay.
It's a tool. I think it's a tough tool for most brand builders to use. I think it's like
it's a bit complicated.
It's for us as service providers to make it easy for brands. Really, like that's the way I see it. Because I think it's a lot to ask a brand builder to go into a tool like that and start using. It's a lot. It's overwhelming.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your take on the EBC text, like text under each module? Because Stephen Pope says that, my MG guy says that it gets indexed. It has a lot of like importance. Personally, I believe I do not like agree to this fact because I have tried it multiple times. Image alt text does make the difference, but the text below the EBC each module doesn't make sense to me. What do you think?
So, so you're saying the modules of A+ content that have the text written out underneath.
Yeah.
Versus the alt text behind the images.
Yes. No. The one the text written below, the text that's not there, because the example you showed, it doesn't have any text. It's not breaking your whole landing page. Your whole landing page is in like a complete synchronized way. It's not breaking. The text is not.
We do include. So although this can be debated, right? Like I do recommend you obviously use alt text. Why not? But the alt text, I think it's important also, and we've had brands push back on this, and I'm thankful that they did push back, because we used to just say, take the extra keywords, put them in the alt text, you're done.
Okay.
But really, at the end of the day, what is the alt text there for? The alt text for that is not there for indexing. The alt text is there for people who need it because they have disabilities and they need to be able to use their screen reader. And so if you can think of it from both angles, like there's a lot of people that need the screen reader and they want to buy your product. So help them too to buy your product, and then put some keywords in there as you're helping them buy your product, right? So you can achieve both at the same time. Why not? No big deal. Nobody's arguing that. Do it. We do design for landing page effect 1,000%. But we also include an SEO, what we call an SEO module. So we include the module with the text underneath, because in the case that that a brand does need that additional indexing, or they do need to tell a little bit more, it gives them the ability to do that, right? And like breaking up the bottom of it is not the end of the world. I do think it'll get more elegant in the future. It is with premium. So premium A+, it's gonna look, it's gonna be awesome. Like I'm really excited for that to roll out for more brands.
Yeah, the premium A+, we have like a couple of brands enrolled in some, like I forgot that program, and we have the access to it for mobile version. Launchpad. So it has like different versions for both desktop and mobile. You have to create different versions of it. So whenever you're looking in mobile devices, it looks good. But now if you add a lot of text in your EBC and you look from your mobile device, it looks like really bad. You just keep on scrolling just to view the whole EBC. So I guess
Amazon, actually we do cut that. So like if we are going to use that module that has the text underneath, I like to
Mhm.
limit how much text you're using, because it's
Okay.
not about putting as much text as possible. It's about
Mhm.
like really having it still look good and accomplish the
Mhm.
goal of having
Mhm.
something
Mhm.
informative with the keywords in there.
Yeah, because now Amazon is putting everything into the embedding the text into it because for the A plus and it's looking really really good. There are no mess ups in on mobile devices or those sort of things. So hopefully things get better and
Oh, I think we're cutting out. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. The other thing about premium A plus content is it's not just available to Launchpad now. So Amazon is saying that premium A plus content is now rolling out to every brand that is brand registered, has
Yeah.
brand story turned on their SKUs, and has at least 15 approved submissions of A plus content over the last 12 months. And
Hmm.
that can seem overwhelming for smaller brands, but it's actually really easy. Like you could do it in one day. If you take your A plus content that you have right now and you tweak one thing to the image, submit it,
Yeah.
and it gets approved, do that 15
Hmm.
times. You can do it in one day. And then just wait the 30 days for them to review your account as long as you
Hmm.
have brand story turned on. You know, so
Hmm.
it is way more achievable than what you think.
Hmm.
Um, the thing that I haven't tested is if it has to be on 15 unique SKUs or if it can be on one. Have you tested that?
Yeah, but we have majority of our SKUs are over 15. I haven't tested it on one so far. It's working on all of the
Yeah.
ones with more than 15 SKUs. I guess it's for more than 15 SKUs. Otherwise, people would just go for this hack and try doing it.
Well, it's brand new, so
Mm-hmm.
it could actually be achievable, and we just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying it on my account, but I haven't got the results back yet, so we'll
Okay.
see. I have other
Mm-hmm.
brands in there as well, so it's a little bit tricky. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if the review tool on Amazon's back end is as sophisticated as it needs to be because we have
Mm-hmm.
two, let's say, two inactive brands associated with our account and one
Mm-hmm.
active brand. But
Mm-hmm.
technically, you have to have brand story turned
For
on
all of them.
every SKU, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if those are really brands that you're not even selling
Yeah.
anymore, like why would you go? I don't know. We'll see.
I guess it's for individual brand. Otherwise, it's gonna be a long run with the customer support. It's gonna be
Right.
miserable time with the
That's what I figured. So I'm testing it on one brand first just to see
mm-hmm.
if the access is granted automatically. But so far it hasn't
Mm-hmm.
been. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll find out and once I get the answers, I'll let you know so you can let everybody on the podcast know.
Cool, cool, cool. Sure, sure. Oh, ooh, it's like 45 minutes now, and I didn't realize it. Thank you so much for continuing such a wonderful conversation. So,
Yeah.
is there
Likewise.
anything else that you would like to discuss, or should we just wrap it up?
We can wrap it up. If anybody does want the full training on our buy now method, they can find it at launchreadylistings.com.
Cool, cool. So, thank you so much, Daniela. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining this podcast. Hopefully, we can collaborate in the future and see you again soon. All right. Thank
Definitely. Take
you.
care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.